other kids and everybody else. Excuse me for a second. Did I just do that? Okay, here we go. This is DJ Wolf Live. All right. I just wanted to test out my new system here. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's new. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to test this out. See how it's working. So far, it works pretty good. I'm very impressed. I bought a portable podcast system, believe it or not, for under $60, and it works like a charm. It's actually basically a built-in sound card, and I actually set up the Bluetooth to hook up directly to it. Now there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to do this, and it actually came with a portable mic, which works fairly good. It works pretty good actually. Let me move this up a little bit. All right. I'm trying to see if I can get one of this. All right. Is that? No, I didn't do that. I'm trying to get it to. Oh, okay. Here we go. I want to get all of that out of there. So anyway, wanted to test it out. It got a lot of different features. It has echo, which I'm gonna try to get out the way here. I don't know what that Bluetooth ACO. I don't know what the heck that means. Let's see here. Got a little treble. Got a little alto. Got a little bass on here. Uh, it works fairly good. I'm I'm not going to still got the cough. I'm not going in front. I actually like this. What is this solo? The solo. Okay. Okay. So I don't know what that solo. It must be like a mute button or something. I have no idea. All right. But anyway, it got some crazy effects on here, but I'm not going to even front for a microphone and a portable podcast uh, control controller. It's perfect. It does everything I need to do on it. Surprisingly, and and it is even Bluetooth. So hopefully this Bluetooth will work out with this. And if it does, then I might be doing more podcasts on here. Maybe do like a quick podcast in the morning or a quick podcast in the evening, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Uh, but on the serious note, I wanted to talk about this, man. I'm a little late about talking about it on one thing, and it wasn't soon enough to talk about the other one. Uh, Yesterday would have been my dad's 83rd birthday. He passed away about 6 years ago at the age of 76, and I'm still devastated. I ain't gonna even front y'all. I mean, it just losing a parent. Honestly, was about the hardest thing I ever had to deal with. The hardest thing ever. You know, losing any relative that you were close to is a really tough thing to deal with. I'm not going in front of y'all. It still hits me to the core to this day, and I'm not gonna front. I mean, I haven't gotten over it. I've gotten over it, but I haven't gotten over it. Uh, I guess I guess you could say I live with it, but like somebody was telling me a while back, somebody knew that lost both of their parents, and they basically just said the hurt never goes, no, it never goes away. You know, they do say time heal all wounds. At some point, it does, but the hurt never goes away, folks. Trust and believe when I say that. It don't. You know, it lingers every now and then. It does. So, but that's how I be sometime, man. You know, life's funny like that. I was talking to my son last night, and I was telling him, you know, family's everything, man. And I'm appreciative of the fact that the things that I didn't do with my dad, I was able to do with him. You know, we have to learn to break the mold sometime, the mold of dysfunctionality or broken homes. We have to break that. We have to, and the generations, like the generation, younger generation, they have to break that cycle of whatever they had to deal with their family at some point. Be an adult, break the cycle, and move on. When I mean breaking the cycle, I mean like don't let your kids be the way you were when your parents raised you. You know, in other words, be better. I told my son, be the 2.0 that I never was. That's the way to look at it. New and improved, basically. But it's it's something I deal with. Moving on, and I go from there. You know. But that's how I be sometimes. You know. Yeah. But 9/11, I remember a lot of 9/11 well. It was hard, man. 9/11, man, was oh my god. I never forget that. I'm just gonna talk about it once, and I'm gonna move on. I was at work in 9/11 that day, and I knew I was doing something for a customer, and I just finished working for something for a customer now, and then I ran into somebody I knew was telling me, man, uh, about the planes going down and all that. And all I know is I went back to my office, and they knew some of us were families. They let us leave, and by the time I got home, my dad had called me. My dad was the first one to call me, see how I was doing. You know, because he was concerned. He knew about what happened and all that. And talked to him for a few minutes, and then I found out my son's school had let out. I talked to my son's babysitter at the time, and I think they had just let out of school, and they had told her, and she told him, yeah, just go straight to your house. So by the time I got outside, got finished talking to my dad, he had just come around the corner. I gave him the biggest hug, man. I'll never forget that. I don't really talk about what happened in 2001 anymore. I mean, I don't forget what happened, uh, but it's just like with my memory of my dad. I don't forget what happened to him. I just live with the fact that he's no longer here. You know, I don't forget the fact about 9/11. I just know it. You know, it's just something that was unfortunately part of the history that happened. You know, but I stay prayed up. I pray for my family. I pray for the country every day. I pray for the world, man, because we got to do better. They always say to be better, you got to do better. You know, and you know, I just really wish that, you know, people would learn to live in love, peace, and harmony, man, because I think we need more of that than ever before, folks. We really do. It's just too much mess going on. Adjust this mic right quick. It's just, it's just way too much mess going on, and we need to cut out the BS and be there for each other, man. That's all I'm saying. You know, You know what that song calls? Love is in need of love today. It's two songs I'm thinking about. Love is in need of love today, and the world, what the world needs now, man. Them two powerful songs, man. I remember those songs as a kid and as a teenager, and those songs still resonate in the back of my mind every time I think about the mess is going on there. There's just so much mess going on today. It ain't funny. I just don't even. I got to a point now, when you're in your office or whatever, and people want to be around the water cooler and talk about certain things like that that's happening. I don't talk about it anymore. I just stop. I said, I can't, because it kick me out of focus because I'm trying to work, and then sometimes when I'm thinking about the certain messes going on, I'd rather just not even talk about it. I just, it's not that I don't care. I just don't want to be in the distraction where I'm getting stressed out and then trying to work at the same time and then talk about that. I just don't even talk about it. I, I, I really don't even watch news. There's something going on tonight, right at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. It's a mess situation out there. Not a good situation either, folks. And I'm praying for the people and the families of the people, and praying for the safety, man. We gotta stay prayed up. We gotta get back in church, folks. Now, I watched a movie called what was it called? The Holy Hustle, and where it talked about in this situation in the movie that, yeah, you could do it through church, you could do it through God, Jesus, and all that, and stay prayed up, but you got to put the work in behind it. In other words, it takes that and more, And I think for us here, it's going to take that and a lot more to get the healing back that we need, you know. Because right now, the situation is just out of control, for lack of a better word. And all I want is peace. I just want peace, man. I want peace for me. I want peace for my family. I want peace for the world, man. I want enough of all this mess, man. Being miserable all the time. I grew up in the area in Cleveland where I was miserable my entire. I ain't gonna lie, pretty much my entire childhood. My entire childhood, I was miserable as I don't know what. And I hate that. I don't even like to see. I don't even like to see kids sad at all. I don't. I know. I had a neighbor friend of mine said, "Oh, I like seeing people sad. I hate seeing people sad. I don't care who it is. It breaks my heart. Even as an adult at my age, it gets me it moves me, almost moves me to tears. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter if it's a TV show, if it's a news feature, or a movie or a documentary. If it's sad, man. I hate seeing people sad. I just hate that. It breaks my heart every time I see it, man. If I give you a perfect example. There's a song and I bought that song from my dad. I actually wanted to play it at my dad's funeral. They wouldn't play it. That's another story. Uh, it was a song that he had requested several years ago, a few years before he passed, called "Angel" by Sarah McLachlan. That song gets me every time. And I know for those of you know the commercial where they talk about the dogs SCPA commercial, whatever it is, to say those poor dogs, and they play that, I almost cry. I don't even like to see animals sad. I really don't, let alone people. And but when I played that song, my dad said, "I love that song, man." And I still like this song. I still play it every once in a while. But I don't know what happened to her. I mean, she was a brilliant singer. I actually like the music. So she stopped. I don't know what happened anyway. But it's like In the Arms of an Angel. It's just a powerful, powerful, powerful song, man. And every time I hear it, I cry, man. Well, I don't cry, but I get real emotional. There's one song I actually did cry. It was called "Daddy" by Coldplay. And that one, I heard that not long after my dad passed away, and it broke me down. It broke me. I cried. I ain't gonna lie, folks. I cried for 20 minutes. I cried for 20 minutes. I haven't cried that long. I haven't cried that long in years. 20 minutes. I also did a song, I should pull it up, called "Father" in tribute. I mean, it was a beat. I mean, I called it "Father." It was a 2 minute beat that I created called "Father" for my tribute to my dad. I actually was gonna write lyrics to it. I never did write the lyrics. I got it in my mind. It's like, Father, and something like that. And it just, I mean, I just hadn't gotten to it. But one day I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna put it out there, you know, because that was that powerful of a song to me. It actually it hit me. It really did. And I'm like, oh my God. And if you hear it, it sounds like a song as a tribute song, beat wise. But I'm gonna have to put lyrics to it one of these days. I plan on it. That's the reason why I do music. I do music as therapy, and I also do podcasting as therapy. It's a way for me to express myself, and when there's no one else to talk to other outside of God, I still talk to God, of course. Is I want to be able to express to other people. Maybe they're going through the same stuff I'm going through. Maybe I can help them, with the stuff things that they're going through. Just by talking it out. Because I went through the struggle. I ain't gonna lie. I sang a song at church a couple weeks ago, um, and it was a song called "Brought Me Through This" in my church. And my wife just, well, actually, one of the members, well, when after I sang it a couple weeks ago, they said, "You know what, brother so and so, I I could tell you that you singing that song from personal experience." I said, I really am," and I was. You know, the song goes, you open doors, and I don't, like I said, I'm gonna say this right up front. I'm not the owner of the song. I'm not the publisher of the song. The song is not owned by me, but I actually going to say the lyrics, and I'm gonna say, there's one part of the lyric go, you open doors that was closed in my face. You made a way there was no way, and I've been in both situations, and it says, Lord, I thank you. Something. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to you. That's what it is. Yeah, Lord, I'm grateful to you, and I truly am, because there's no way. And I think uh, uh, I had a vision. I told my wife about this too. I had a vision, true story. I had back in 1978. I had a dream one night. I was still in junior high. I was junior high at the time, middle school, and I told my wife about this. I had a dream about her. The dream described, actually showed a picture or a face similar to hers in my dream, and they said that's gonna be your wife one day. The vision came to me saying that's gonna be your wife. She said that's gonna be your wife, and sure enough, I met her. I was working at Best Products back in 1988, and I take that back, 1989. 89. I hadn't met her in 88. I met her in 89. I was still with my ex girlfriend at the time, a long time ex girlfriend I was with, and we were on the outs anyway. She almost got me in some major trouble over some BS. But that's another story. I'll talk about another podcast. But anyway, um, she used to keep a lot of mess going on. But I met her in 89, and my ex had called over to my apartment, and my wife was then somebody was just seeing. Trying to grab the phone to call her house. No, no, no. I got this. I got this. And I told her. I said, we're done. And she got real sad, but I didn't care. She put me through a lot of mess, man. And then me and my wife started seeing each other, dating stuff, and eventually we got married. And come to find out, that was my vision. My vision was her, as described in the dream, to the T. No joke. So sometimes when you get visions, don't forget them. Seriously. And it was a very positive vision at that. Because at the time I wasn't really dating like that. I had bad acne. I was real skinny. I didn't. I wasn't really doing sports too much like that, except on the street. Basketball, football, some basketball. That's about it. You know. You know. My folks didn't get me into that kind of stuff at the time, and I wanted to get into that kind of stuff, but That's a long story. They were all talking about that because the time they would think, oh, too many kids try. That's all they want to do is do this, blah blah blah, and not realizing it's a form of exercise, regardless of whether they want to make it a professional sport or not. And then years later, here's the irony. Years later, my parents, no joke, years later, my parents, and this was back in like the early 2000s. Of course, I was already in my mid 30s. Oh, I could have had a son for a baseball player or a football player. I wish you'd have played this. And that. Really? All those years that I talked about playing sports, that I talked about wanting to play for basketball, in school and all that. And you tell me you didn't want me doing it, just so you could tell me in the year 2001 that I should have been doing it. But that was only for your benefit. It wasn't for mine, it was for yours. Yeah, of course, at that point, they were saying for their benefit because they figured, oh, you could go ahead and make that kind of money. And not realizing also that that's a one in a million shot. You got to be really good. You got to be really sharp and you got to be really talented to play, to be even picked to be in a sport among a competition of thousands of men who play sports all the time. They are really good. You got to be really exceptional to play in the NFL, NBA, or MLB or NHL. You got to be really exceptional. You just can't say, yeah, I wish you went on ahead and did that. Even if I did do that, I would have to be exceptionally good. And then you risk injury on top of that. If you are out there and you play in sports or in college or whatever, and then you try to go to the pros and you get injured before you get a chance, this already happened to a couple of guys this year already. You know. I watched Jaden, not Jaden.
So that's the part, but you always look.
Okay, I don't own the broadcast rights to that. I just want to hear talk about it right quick. You talking about the game? I gotta watch the game a little bit. Y'all tune in the game. If you down here in the DMV, it's on Fox 5. The Prime gonna show the game on Fox 5 Live. Otherwise, you can catch it on Prime. Yes, it's the Prime game of the week. My Washington Commanders is going to play the Green Bay Packers. That's going to be a tough game because Jordan Love showed his ass off last week. Jaden too a little bit, but I think he was trying to prepare for this because he knew that the Giants' offense was trash. Russell Wilson, you wasn't ready, bro. Anyway, that's another story. But I had to have confidence in myself. My parents, I don't think collectively did. That I'm sure about. One time, I tried to ride. My dad, I wanted to get a motorcycle, and he tried to get. He was gonna let me get a 250, but the 250 was too small for me. And then he was gonna let me try out 450, and then he changed his mind. And I'm like, how you going? And I'm saying, well, how you gonna try me to get on the bike, buy me a bike before I even, ride a bike? I mean a motorcycle. That's another whole story. You gotta before you can buy me a bike, you gotta at least get me trained on one first. But so later on, he tried to get me to pick up a 750. Now, mind you, I was in high school. I wasn't more than $150. That bike weighed more than I did. Knowing I couldn't ride it. I could even pick it up, barely pick up 750. I probably could now, but at the time, hell no. I mean, not when I was underweight. Now, when I started working out and all that, that's another story. But I think the honest truth was he didn't want me. He didn't want to give me a bike. No, he didn't want me out there. Because he didn't think I could deal with it. I could cut the mustard, but I never got a chance. But the moral of the story is, when nobody else believes in you, believe in yourself. Believe in your capabilities of the things that your God-given talents. Because this was one thing I found out. Even my own family, everybody has a talent. My dad had a talent. He was very mechanically inclined on a lot of different things. He worked on cars, worked on furnaces, worked on heaters, worked on TVs at one time. He was very mechanically inclined. We went to the same high school, but he went there for night school training, be certified in the certification he was doing when he was working in the mines down in Cleveland, salt mine. I went there, became an auto body mechanic. I should have really went there for auto mechanics because auto mechanics is something I was fairly good at, you know. But I tried to work on mechanics when I was around him, and he used to call me everything but a son of God. And this was when I was a kid. Now, how you gonna put your kid down constantly when he's trying to learn and you calling him all kind of names? That doesn't help him. When he's a kid, you know. Now, if you're an adult and supposed to know better, that's different. But when you're a kid trying to learn things, you're basically just not only busting their self-esteem, you just busting their confidence all over the place. You didn't even care. I'm saying I love my dad. Rest in peace. But to be honest, he just never had no faith in me. I'm gonna tell it like it is. You know, there was good things about him and not so good. That was part of not so good. The good thing about it was that he took care of us. He was there. A lot of kids don't have fathers like that, man. And I did, you know. But I don't want to talk about it. I just want to talk about the fact that whatever situation you're in, you can work yourself out of a bad situation by talking to folks, gathering the resources you need, the proper resources you need to get out the situation that you can. In my case, it was more or less, me just go ahead and do the right thing, knowing my parents was, at least they were raising me right. They went into a whole bunch of stuff, so I was fortunate enough to be able to survive that because they went in a whole lot of mess, thank God. And I knew at some point I wasn't going to stay there. I knew at some point I had to make a life for myself. I remember one time I was military and I was stationed out here over in Virginia. And I think I just got from basic training. I think it was basic training, the main training for my job. And my dad told me, he said, "You don't need to be down there." I told him I'll stay my stand, which I did in the DMV. And he's like, "You don't need to be down there." And something I said to him, it's something I said about me being here was my decision or something like that. He got mad. I wish I could remember what I said. But it was like, you don't need to be down here. And I told him something about me being down here, it's my choice or something like that. He just kind of like to went off the rails about it. But I didn't care. By the time I was already in my early 20s, I knew one thing I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go back without a job. And I was determined not to go back to Cleveland without, unless I was gainfully employed, which I eventually did about a year or two later. At some point in your life, when you get to a certain age, like I did, you have to take control of your own life, which is what I did. Albeit I didn't do it till I didn't really get out the house until 21. I probably should have got out a little earlier, but at least I worked it out before then. I made sure that I knew what I wanted to do when I got out. Because initially I went to school, and that didn't seem to work out because I didn't really have the money to go to school, so I dropped out. I dropped out, not out of high school, I dropped out of college. And then that's when I went to the military, did my thing, and made something for myself after that. And I don't regret it. I stayed in the DMV for the last almost close to 40 years, 36 years, I think, something like that. Yeah, about almost 36 years. Oh, no, 37 years, actually. Yeah, because 30, 30, about 36 years, roughly. So, actually 37. Yeah, 37 years. I had to. So, I don't regret it. All right, guys. Well, I was just testing out this mic. I'm going to do more podcasts on this thing. This thing is pretty cool. I can't wait to hear playback on this. Let me see. What am I use to go out of this with? No, I don't have any of that, so it's kind of weird. All right, guys and gals. I'm out. Let's see. This is DJ Wolf Live. I'm out, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm out.